All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're talking about one of the most important skills for any CSR, really mastering your call flow and having the right booking philosophy. See, the goal here isn't just to talk to customers. It's about completely changing how you handle calls so you can book more appointments, way more efficiently. So let's get started. So here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll nail down the one and only goal of every single call. Then, we'll unpack why being fast is actually a good thing for the customer. After that, we'll get into the nuts and bolts of guiding the conversation, what that feels like from the customer's side, some common mistakes to watch out for, and we'll wrap it all up with one final super important principle. Okay, first up, this is all about a huge mindset shift. What if I told you your job isn't really about selling at all? What if it's actually about being a professional guide? Let's talk about why that little change in thinking makes all the difference. You gotta remember this every time the phone rings. The person on the other end is already sold. They have a problem, they think you can fix it, and they're the ones reaching out. This isn't some cold call where you have to gin up interest out of thin air. The opportunity is literally handed to you. And this right here, this is the core of the whole philosophy. Your role isn't to convince them they have a problem. They already know that. Your job is to be the expert guide who makes booking the solution incredibly easy and just obvious. You're not a salesperson, you're a problem solver who clears the path. So let's just boil it all down. This is it, the one single objective that matters more than anything else. Everything you do, every question you ask, every piece of info you gather, it should all be pointed directly at converting their call into a confirmed appointing on the books. That's it. That's the win. Okay, moving on. Let's talk about time. Because how you use time on the phone has a massive ripple effect across the entire business. We're going to look at why being efficient is actually a sign of professionalism and what the numbers say about a good call versus a bad one. Look, it's a pretty simple chain reaction, but it has a huge impact. When one call drags on, your phone line is clogged. That means other customers who are trying to call in right now, they can't get through. Those are missed calls. Missed calls are missed leads. And missed leads, that's lost money for the company. It's that direct. So what does a problem call actually look like on the clock? Well, if your standard booking calls are creeping into that 5, 6, 7, even 8-minute range, that's a big red flag. It almost always means the call has lost its structure and you've lost control of the conversation. Now, on the flip side, this is what we're aiming for. An ideal call, one that's handled like a real pro, should land somewhere between 2.5 and 3.5 minutes. That's the sweet spot. It's plenty of time to greet them, understand what's up, grab their info, and lock in that appointment. Sure, there are exceptions, but this should be your standard. And I want to be crystal clear on this, because it's a really common mistake to think otherwise. Spending more time with a customer does not automatically mean you're giving better service. In our world, a long call is usually just a sign that things are inefficient, unstructured, and frankly, unprofessional. Okay, so if the goal is to be efficient, how do you actually do that without coming off as rude or like you're rushing them? This next part is all about the practical, hands-on skills you need to guide that conversation effectively. This right here, this is your new gold standard. A professional CSR does 4 things, and they do them really well. They listen to what the customer is saying, they acknowledge it, they answer any questions briefly, and, this is the most important part, they're always moving the conversation forward. Remember that, forward, not sideways. Oh man, we've all been here, right? The customer launches into a huge story. It's a perfect example of a call going sideways. They're not trying to be difficult, they're just talking. But this moment right here is where you have to step in and gently guide the call back on track. And here's the simple 4-step playbook for how to do it. First, don't cut them off. Listen patiently so they feel like you heard them. Second, acknowledge what they said with something simple, like, I understand. Third, if you have to answer, keep it short. And fourth, this is the magic move. You pivot. You redirect them right back to booking the appointment. So here's what that sounds like in real life. You say, I understand. It can definitely be complicated. See? You listened, you acknowledged. Now, here comes the pivot. To make sure we get this handled for you, let's go ahead and get you scheduled. It's polite, it's professional, and boom, the call is right back on track. Now, let's talk about the script, because a lot of people get this wrong. They think a script makes you sound like a robot, but that's not its purpose at all. Think of the script as a roadmap, not a cage. It's there to give you structure, to make sure you don't forget any key steps, and to keep pointing the conversation toward the goal, booking.
It's your guide to being a pro.
All right, let's switch chairs for a second. We've been talking about what we should be doing, but what does all of this feel like for the person on the other end of the phone? Understanding their perspective is absolutely key.
So, how does it feel for the customer? Well, when you guide a call the right way, they don't feel rushed. They feel like they're in good hands. The whole process feels smooth, structured, and confident. They feel like they're dealing with a total professional.
And this thought right here, this is what you want every single customer to be thinking when they hang up the phone. This is the sign of a perfect call. When they think, wow, those guys really know their stuff. You haven't just booked a job. You've built trust and made the whole company look great. Okay, now let's look at the flip side. It's just as important to know what not to do. This section is all about the common traps and bad habits that make calls longer and lose us bookings. These right here. These are the booking killers. Talking too much, over-explaining things, letting the customer completely take over and drive the call off a cliff, answering question after question without ever moving closer to booking. And this last one is a big one. Trying so hard to be nice that you forget to be effective. The nicest thing you can do is solve their problem efficiently.
All right, we're at our final section. Let's take everything we've talked about and boil it all down to one core principle, one core philosophy that should drive every single call you take. This is it. A great CSR has respect for three things. Number one, you respect the customer's time by being efficient. Number two, you respect the company's resources by keeping the phone lines open for the next opportunity. And by doing those two things, you accomplish your most important job, turning calls into actual booked results. If you walk away with just one single idea from all of this, let it be this one. Efficiency and good service are not enemies. They're not opposites. Efficiency is a part of good service. Getting a customer to the solution they need, quickly and professionally, that is the very definition of providing great service. That's the philosophy that wins.